You quit as CEO of Accenture, sometime last year. What's the journey been like?
I think the journey has been excellent. Fine. So I've been a global guy, and I've been, one of the pioneers in this industry, and especially with the digital changes happening, the transformation happening. I think it has been excellent because Accenture has been a great leader in terms of the digital stuff. And I personally participated in a significant amount of innovation while I was in Accenture. And I saw the opportunity of taking some of the leadership stuff and that what we had done in Accenture to go out there and do it for the others. In fact, it kind of mirrors what I had done 20 years ago when I was working with Nortel. They were the pioneers. They were the biggest clients for the outsourcing industry. And I had an opportunity to work with Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Sasken, all the promoters of those things very, very intimately when we all were learning about the industry. And rather than go back to Nortel, I said, this is great. And so I founded a company to, participate in that. So it's the same thing. This is, what we have done in Accenture on digital and innovation is absolutely fabulous. And so now it's to go out there, work with startups across the globe, and be able to kind of see as to how you can grow into a very big innovative solution and be able to fund them. So, doing a fund as well for investing in startups.
All right. So what are you doing at Phillipcapital's, investor conference?
I have been in this industry for the last 20 years and know about the industry. And, since you are in it, you know about the transformation that is happening. And I love to talk about it. And especially when you have very complex, very challenging and serious questions, that's when you really enjoy it. Because it's not just about a one way of lecturing. It's about being challenged, is being made to think through what are some of the things that are happening. Today is probably one of the most difficult times in the last 20 years of the industry, whereby literally speaking, it's the analyst, it's even the senior management of each of these companies that really doesn't know what the answer is. Most of them, they don't, because here you have digital stuff where there's an opportunity, where there's a lot of work that needs to be done to take the clients into the digital infrastructure. But at the same time, if you look beyond that, then the question is, it's going to disrupt each of the industries. And so I, as an IT company, capable of leading my client, participating with my client to this disruption? And the answer is, not really. Fine. So what do you do to continue to participate, or at least graduate to participate in that journey?
Three big challenges that that Indian companies face as far as this new digital world is concerned.
I think the biggest challenge is this is not about technology only. So I think the first phase where you're enabling the client to go into the digital world is technology. Anyone can do it. But the second phase is about bringing innovation. You have to really see as to how each of the industry is going to be disrupted, right? And then you have to find out who are going to be the disruptors, which is basically some innovative companies out there. So you have to connect with them. So this is the biggest challenge right now, as to how do you start moving away from interfacing only with the chief information officer or the chief technology officer to the chief marketing officer, chief strategy officer of a company, because those connects are not there right now.
Within this space, a lot of innovation, at least in the Indian context, is happening in the fintech space. How excited would you be about that particular segment?
India is a great market for fintech. And you say, what? How is that possible? Because it should be the US or it should be the UK. No, it is India. The fintech, the finance, banking market is very, very regulated in the US and the UK. I know it's regulated here also, but in the US, it's paranoid in terms of the regulations and things, compliance and all that stuff. In India, if you look at it, you have a lot of payment companies that have now starting to become even parallel banks, essentially. If you were to go and talk to the top management of the top banks in India, be it the SBI, be it the HDFC and ICICI and others, literally speaking, the top management is not focusing on the basic day-to-day banking anymore. They're looking at what is happening in the digital banking. What are the innovations that we can put in? Because the business model is already getting disrupted. Fine. So some of these fintech companies are going to become the new banks. Fine. So essentially, I think India is a great market. In fact, if you look at some of the multinationals, even the IT companies, where you're seeing a lot of that fintech innovation happening is in India.
A lot of people also believe that this big growth in fintech will also perhaps lead to some changes in the regulatory environment as well. Would you agree with that view? And if yes, then what kind of changes can one expect?
And I'm actually very encouraged that I think our regulatory environment has been really very collaborative and very understanding to be able to allow this fintech to happen, by the way. And I have absolutely full faith that India will continue to enhance the regulatory environment to be able to get a lot of this fintech happen. Because if you see it, like Aadhaar card, fine, is being used as a way to distribute the subsidies and lots of other payments and so on and so forth. And I think a significant part of the population in India now has that, fine. And so I think for you to kind of then use the fintech stuff and the Aadhaar, there's no need for a KYC anymore in some sense. It is there. I think it's really making a lot of the things that you require in today's banking stuff is already starting to happen.
Okay, at a personal level, what are the 3 things that you will look for in a startup or in an entrepreneur when you're engaging with him?
I think in a startup, the first thing that you look at is obviously a well-rounded team, fine. And technical expertise used to be very significant before, but right now, I think what's most important is the ability for these startups to come up with an innovative solution. And that innovative solution does not come because of technology, basically. It comes in by knowing the business itself and saying, well, this is what the consumer wants. This is what, as a business, I can excite the consumer. Fine. Maybe they have been getting this kind of service in a certain way, but can I do it differently, where it's much more seamless and it wows the customer? And I think thinking out of the box, the creativity is, in my view, very, very important. But at the same time, it's about engaging with the enterprise and implementing it. So being realistic is also important. So you have to know the business itself, know the consumer, and the creativity part of it.
Finally, tell us, what has the experience been like today?
I think today I was pretty excited because when you really meet people who know the business and they have challenging and tough questions, and when you are able to kind of almost ideate and come up with the answers together, and because you get questioned and you say, oh, you know what, that's good. I mean, I think this is what I had today. It was a busy day. I don't think I got a single minute in the entire day, from 10 o'clock till now, which is almost close to 6, but I enjoyed it.